Joe. This is episode 689 of the Two Dum Yinzers. I'd like to say to everybody this morning, welcome back. Michael, motorcycle, how you doing today, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
the season continues. You
Yes,
know, as,
yes, it
as,
does.
as we always say, long after the games end, the season continues on.
Hmm.
And we as Steeler fans, excuse me, will continue to search and look and find, at least try to find the things that are going to make this football team better moving forward. We'll talk a little bit about that today. We might have some action going on in that whole area.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. We got a few things we're going to talk about today, Mike. Let me jump right into what it is that I was talking about yesterday. Probably sometime in the afternoon, I see one of the local news channels run a post on their Facebook page,
Yeah.
and in the Facebook post, it says something along the lines of Deebo Samuel and his agent plan to engage Pittsburgh in a discussion about a trade to bring Deebo to Pittsburgh. That was according to WPXI. Um, I like, listen, I like the talk early, whether it be Deebo Samuel, whether it be whatever we decide to do. I'm liking the talk early on, Mike, because again,
Yeah.
we didn't go after that guy, our number two receiver, until
Hmm.
halfway through this football season last year. And that's kind of discerning if you're a football fan and you're sitting back and you're wondering why can't we just fill a position? But now they're starting early, Mike. Again, Deebo Samuel and his agent looking to reach out to the Pittsburgh Steelers about possibly going to play there. Mike, just like every other big news, it came on pretty much right after we finished the show yesterday,
Exactly. Yes.
so we didn't get to dive right into it. Um, what are your feelings about this, Mike? And the thing is, I know some people will love the idea.
Yeah.
Already starting to see some people saying no, we're not interested. Again, anything beyond what we did last year would certainly be an upgrade to me. I like the idea. You explained to me a little bit before the show what the money situation would be for Deebo Samuel. Mike, what's your feelings on bringing somebody like Deebo here to Pittsburgh? Not only financially, but what would he be able to do for this team? And how much of an improvement would that bring to the offense?
I'll take him. He's not the that refined route runner that I would like opposite George Pickens, but that's he has the production of a number two receiver. You take out 2021 was like a blur for him. That was his best year, 1,400 yards. After that, he's been around 600, anywhere between 600 and 800 yards a year, averaging about 6 to 7 touchdowns a year. I'll take that from my number two guy. And Deebo's going to draw attention away from George. Deebo can also do a little things to run here and there, averaging about 200 yards rushing a year, a handful of touchdowns a year from the rushing attack as well. I'll take him. I saw online one reporter was like, "Oh, you trade for him. He's going to miss a bunch of games." I'm looking back. The only year he missed a ton of action was 2020. He only played 7 games that year, but since then he's missed maybe 2 games a year every year outside of his career. I'm okay with that. In the production that he brings, I'm okay with. I prefer someone who's a better route runner, but I'll take him. In the salary cap, it's he's due $15 million this year. Steelers don't have to pay that whole amount, because with the trade going that would happen, he don't have to pay that whole amount. You might have to renegotiate a contract for him, extend him out if you want to keep him longer term, but it all depends on what we're giving up for him. Are they going to want a 3rd round pick? Then I'm kind of hesitant. But, you get your number two for the next, 2 to 3 years, that's fine. I'll be okay with that. You get a wide receiver in round 1 as well, or round 2, and address the D line in round 1 or round 2. Something like that. I'm okay with it. He's not my ideal guy, but the production is there. This is someone who can work opposite George. Then you still have your Van Jefferson. You still have, or not Van Jefferson, excuse me, Calvin Austin. You still have Roman Wilson. You got to see what you have there. Yeah, Pat Fryermuth. And, it works well within the salary cap stuff I was playing around with on Sport Track, excuse me. The Steelers make a trade for him. It's only adding $5 million to the salary cap. So you're not losing any of that good cap money that you have. You release Preston Smith, you gain $8 million by making a trade and getting a guy. Then you can still go out and get a quarterback, get some other weapons on defense and some other weapons on offense. So I like it. You're not blowing up the cap like we were talking yesterday. If you wanted to go get Stafford and Cup, now, okay, you can go out, get your receiver, and then you can add pieces in place throughout this roster.
Good morning to over-enthusiastic Mod Caleb. He says, we were riding to the gym, got to burn off those 1 million Scoville chicken wings. Lots of Russell Wilson high knees. Skeens hasn't done high knees since middle school. Good morning to you, my friend. I got to be honest with you. You got to take a look around, see what else is around the league, understand what it is you're going to do at the wide receiver position.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to get this guy, get him.
Yeah.
Because they played this game last year. They messed around too long with Brandon Ayuk. It ended up falling through, and then you're stuck with no receiver.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. When I'm glad that they're starting early, at least the talks and the rumors, because again, you don't want to be sitting there at week 9, wondering if your guy that you just brought over the trade deadline is even going to play. So I do like this. And again, if you're saying it's only going to cost us $5 million, it's almost stupid not to do this.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. We just don't have personnel. We don't have the wide receivers for one. So for two, you're putting a pretty good, athletic, talented, quality receiver at that position, which we were far from last year. Maybe Mike Williams wasn't. But at the end of the day, we never got the opportunity to really see. He caught everything was thrown to him. But so you bring in somebody like Deebo Samuel, Mike, you get a whole package. Again, this guy, he can do a lot of things, not just run, run, catch, and pass, or run. So yeah. So at the end of the day, I like this, Mike. And again, I mean, you got to look at your other possibilities. Okay, let's take a look at this team. Is this guy going to be available this time? And kind of get it. And I'm sure they do. But at the end of the day, I like this move. I think that it can only help the Steelers because again, you have a pretty talented kid coming in a position where you didn't have that position filled at all, for one. And for two, if that's all he's going to cost, that's the Steeler way. Putting together a deep discount offense. I mean, that's what they're all about. So it kind of makes sense for everybody because, for one, they're getting their discount. For two, we're getting a good player that could potentially make the big plays and get us excited as fans. I like Deebo Samuel. I liked him when all the talk was going on about Brandon Ayuk and Devontae Adams and everybody else that was possibly going to be coming to the Steelers. I like Deebo. I would have liked him then. I'll like him now. Again, and I'm sure, again, they do. But understand your options. Understand what else is going to be out there. Understand what's even a possibility for this team. But again, at the end of the day, Mike, it really hits the nail on the head for me that it fits the Steelers style because putting together this discount offense seems to be the way. I don't know, maybe changing that might change the fortunes of this team. I don't know, but it makes sense to me for Deebo Samuel to become a Pittsburgh Steeler, especially, Mike, if it's not going to cost all that kind of money that you'd be paying out on some of these guys to play that position.
No, even if they sign him and he wants a contract, like a sign and trade, which happens more in basketball than anywhere else. But even then, okay, I don't think he's going to still cost you $15 million a year, maybe $12 to $13 million a year. And that's not bad for a wide receiver when your top end receivers are making $22 to $25 million, $30 million a year that you're getting the quarterback money. If you can get Deebo, 12, 13 million for the next 2 to 3 years, I'm okay with that. Then, you're hopefully can extend George Pickens. He, gets his head on right. You hope like Austin develops further than what he did. You hope Roman Wilson becomes that guy that they thought he was going to be, that outside route runner guy that could take the pressure off of Pickens. Now you have a pretty good offense for the next 2 to 3 years. And then when Deebo's done, you have guys ready in place to take on a bigger role, or they might force Deebo out because they've developed. And, I'm willing to take that chance too. And like I said, it all depends on what capital we have to give up, what kind of draft capital we have to get this guy. I'd be okay with trading a 5 and a 7, a 5 and 2 sevens, a 4 and 2 sevens rounders that we have, something like that. I really don't want to give up a third round pick because I still think they're still valuable in the draft. You can find a starter in the third round. But if we have to, and this guy helps the offense and helps us actually win a playoff game, I'm down for it.
The only thing that I would be a brain scratcher to me is if this guy didn't help.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, with the anemic offense that we put out on that field last year,
Yeah.
again, the lowest paid offense from top to bottom in the entire league, number 32, literally, it doesn't get any lower.
Yeah.
So I with open arms welcome somebody like Deebo Samuel. You just at some point, with this particular style, with this particular philosophy, you have to get guys that are going to outperform their money. And, that's tough in the NFL these days. You go to a team that's paying you a minimum amount. You may think, okay, well, I'm going here for a shortstop player a couple years. What kind of production are you going to get out of that particular player? You just don't know. You don't know the guy. And over time, why has Deebo kind of dropped in the litmus test of San Francisco? I mean, this is 3 years ago, Mike, when we had the guys from Hit 'em Hard Music, and Deebo Samuel was a straight up beast that nobody wanted to face this guy.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, he's watered down. You don't see that player anymore that we talked about 3 years ago. But at the end of the day, compared to what we have, Mike, that would be a huge, huge addition. For one, he's a playmaker. We just, where we're lacking playmakers. You need to have a guy that could potentially make a play any given drive. So, to help your team win football games. He's a playmaker. I love that. The fact that we could get him for cheap. I think that's an extra bonus. I'm not all about just going discount on the offense. I think if you have to spend a little extra money, spend the extra money, because again, that's the bread, that's the moneymaker right now. You got to be able to score points in the NFL. So, if they do anything to improve that offense, I think that's a step in the right direction. Again, you can't continue on with the 32nd lowest paid offense in the NFL and expect good results. You can't continue with a Kmart blue light special offense and expect to make any improvements from year to year. So, Mike, I think this would be a first step in actually improving this team this offseason without worry, without concern, without wonder, is this guy going to be okay? I think by default, what we had the past couple of years, this guy is a huge upgrade. Not saying anything bad about the other gentlemen that were there before him, but Mike, this guy kind of fills that hole, and having that hole filled gives you just that much more confidence once you start playing games again in September.
It does, yeah. Like you said, now that's a position we don't have to worry about because there's more positions on this team we do have to worry about. Running back, quarterback, defensive line, cornerbacks, safety. So there's a lot of holes on this team. So if you can get him and plug that hole, and we're here at Dum Yinzers, we're all about plugging holes. So yes, let's plug that hole, get him in, and go from there. Start rebuilding that offense, and retooling that defense. Get, like you said, we were talking earlier off air. Got to get that defense younger, and you cut Preston Smith. There's $13 million saved. So you have options. Find a young D lineman so you don't have to draft one that you can get in free agency. Got to do something. This, we watch Philadelphia with that dynamic front four just destroy everyone. That's the way we got to go too. We got to reinvest in that D line, reinvest in running backs and wide receivers. That's just what we need to do.
We were talking briefly the other day about this, Mike. If you could get a game wrecker, like I'm going to just for an example use Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
If you could get a game wrecker like Jalen Carter in the first round with all the offensive issues that we have, is it worth it to get that guy, Mike? Ooh. Or should you say, hey, you know what? I understand the situation we're in.
Yeah.
I got to get the best possible person. It's a position that I actually need.
Yeah.
Opposed to, something that and you want to work on moving forward, like the interior line. So this is something that we need. We could either take the guy that we need, the best possible wide receiver at 21, or let's take this game wrecker. And if you do take the game wrecker, How does that pan out with just the media? How does that? I mean,
Yeah.
what effects does that bring, Mike?
Yeah, people aren't going to like it because it's not the flashy, sexy pick, because we know we do have a huge hole at wide receiver. But if you go out and get Deebo, wouldn't that kind of fill the hole that we're looking for? We know what we're going to get out of a guy who's been in the league for 5, 6, 7 years now, as opposed to a rookie. What are we going to get out of him? What's his
That's
acclimation to
my
the
thought.
NFL going to be? And of course, I can say the same argument and say, oh, then we're going to go get a defensive lineman who's going to be a game record. Well, how is he going to adjust to the NFL? So yeah, I understand that argument can go the same way. But if I'm filling up my wide receiver position via this trade or free agency, now I got vets who are going to get me the production I need. Okay, then I'm going to go and get my game record because there's a couple D linemen that, in mock drafts that are game records that are falling down to Pittsburgh. Now it's just, okay, will they fit into the 3-4 scheme that we run? But, I think anyone's going to be better than Larry Ogunjobi. Or, no offense to him, but, whatever rookie we get in the first, second round, I think will be better than Larry O. I think they'll be better than Montravius Adams. I think they'll be better than who else do we have on that D line that's worth, shit. So, yeah, they're going to be the guy. And you got to have a replacement ready too for Cam Hayward. You got to find someone. If you can find a true nose tackle, find someone who can kick, Keanu Benton out to the outside to take over for Larry Ogunjobi. There was
now
one
also,
pick. One
Mike,
pick you just
you're
with one
investing
pick. One
first
pick you
round
upgraded
money
2 picks.
into a defensive lineman.
That has
Is that a problem that's going to affect this team, especially with the offense being as anemic as it is?
Yeah.
And people saying, you know what, you have the 32nd best offense. Yeah, you went out and got a game record, but again, you're neglecting the most important part in this year's rebuilding phase, getting some scoring. What do you think about that?
Well, to that one, I would say, okay, hey, look, we went out, we got a Deebo Samuels or whoever. If we get another a higher end receiver in free agency, okay, we got it there, and then boom, we picked down in the second round. There's still some pretty good wide receivers that are going to be there too, that can be productive receivers in the NFL. You got your game breaker in George Pickens. Now you just want to build people around him who can take pressure off. We did that by getting our veteran receiver. Now we're going to get another young receiver to the offense to go with the 2 that we already have. Boom, you've added that other weapon. Yeah, he doesn't have the mystique of being the number 1, but now, okay, your receiver room will be a whole hell of a lot better this year than it was last year if you're adding a Cooper Kupp
But
or
then you're
adding a
asking
Deebo
yourself
Samuel.
this, Mike. How much do you want to invest? At the end of the day, you want the best possible players you can have out there.
Yeah.
But again, you don't know who you're going to have behind center. Is it worth going and paying high money to a wide receiver? Not potentially knowing who the center is going to be. Even if you do have a clue who you might think is going to be back here. I mean, is that player going to be able to perform to where we need him to be, to where it makes it worth spending large amounts of money on a wide receiver?
Yeah.
I do want to take a moment to say good morning to Jen on the board. Good morning to you, Jen. I also do want to say, Mike mentioned earlier on the show that filling holes is something that we do here on the show. That's right, because Mike, that's why I have him wear headphones. Otherwise, his brains would just drain right out of his head. So, yes, we are all about filling holes on the show. Also, I do want to say we've been talking for the first quarter of the show about Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel and his agent plan to engage Pittsburgh in discussion about a trade to bring Deebo to Pittsburgh.
So
Mike,
that sounds like there's going to be a contract renegotiation if they make that trade.
I like it. I like to talk early. And again, whether we get Deebo, whether we don't get Deebo, whatever it is, I mean, just for the morale of the troops out here, it says, hey, look, we're doing something, guys. We're not going to go into 2025 with without a wide receiver. But again, all last summer, Mike, all we talked about was Brandon Ayuk. Everybody was hooked on that.
Yeah.
Everybody was, sure that it was going to happen. So, I don't think we could we should marry the idea just yet. It's early. I'm sure Deebo's people they're going to talk to other teams for whatever, So again, I like this idea. Again, I'm not on board about staying on this discount program, but if it works and it works for you, you could get a guy like Deebo Samuel to fill that other wide receiver position. Mike, I'm all aboard. Again, for the bang for your buck. I think this is probably going to be one of the better players that you're going to get. And then you can start focusing on those other things. Mike, again, we could be hunting a starting running back. The thing is, people say, well, you have Jalen. Injuries happen in the NFL, and as we see lately, more often than none, they've been happening with what do they say, the soft tissue injuries? They called them last year. So again, you're gonna have to fill a starting running back role. You don't know what you're doing with your quarterback. You haven't had a number 2 wide receiver in a year and a half, and the defensive line isn't getting any younger. Mike, and as you said, in the secondary. And I'm looking here, Mike, and one of the things you notice when you're watching Super Bowl 59 is the interior line play by both of these teams. Even though the Kansas City Chiefs got blew up on the offensive line, their offensive line was still head and shoulders better than what the Steelers looked like. Can you imagine how many times you see how many times the blitzers were breaking through on that offense? Can you imagine how many times them guys would have got our quarterback with our offensive line?
Yeah. And like the thing is that like Philly was just rushing 4 all game long, and they dominated. And so you see the importance of O-line, D-line. It's the game has changed, but that's you win and lose in the trenches, and that Super Bowl was won and lost in the trenches, because if Casey's O-line was able to just hold off that front 4 for another half second, guys would have got open. Mahomes would have had time to read. So yeah, that's the importance, man. That's why I, even before the Super Bowl, I was thinking, okay, we need D-line help, because we saw what happened in the last 6 games of the year. Teams were able to run the ball on the Steelers, and it's, you got to be able to stop the run, you got to be able to run the ball, and you got to be able to control the lines of scrimmage. And we haven't been able to do that. We saw Philly were able to control both, lines of the scrimmage. When they were on defense, they controlled it. When they were on offense, they controlled the line. So that's why I'm not opposed to taking a D lineman in round 1, round 2. But it all depends on what we do in free agency before the draft to address the receiver position.
One thing that you got to be able to do in this league is strike fast.
Yep. And that's what Philly was able to do as well.
If you're a team that can't come back, you're in trouble. If you're a team that can't move the ball well at certain points, you're in trouble. These are some of the things that we had trouble doing. Like, we were having a hard try. And the fact that we've become very, very predictable, and this isn't just a few of the guys saying it. I mean, this is something that we've done in Pittsburgh for a long, long time now. So, I mean, there's things that need to happen, of course, and they have 5.5, 6 months to get it all together. I do want to say good morning to Mark Malone. Mark says I'd sign a free agent cornerback, saying that the great secondary master can't develop one. He also says they were running on us early on, even Philly. Mike, we talked about Stafford. Stafford's name popped up earlier. The speculation for Stafford right now is the teams that would best be suited with Stafford services would be the Steelers and the New York Giants. Mike, I, for one, you either have to be all in or not in at all with Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
Again, you're gonna have to pay this guy some money, but you're gonna expect him to be that guy for you. You're gonna expect him to be able to step on that field and see things that other players aren't seeing, and make adjustments that other players aren't making, and making big plays. And I got to tell you, to be with a Rams team that, they had big names here and there, but they were never a dominant team. Even the Rams team that won the Super Bowl, they just were never that dominant squad, Mike. I think that Matthew Stafford in the right situation could be one hell of a quarterback. I mean, you've seen what the guy did on a bad rebuilding Detroit team all those years. He goes to LA. First year, he wins a Super Bowl. I mean, the guy's looked really good since. Even I made comments earlier in the playoffs this year about, this is just, this guy seems to have it. The guys that have it win all the time. No, they don't, and he didn't. No. But again, you put a guy in the right situation, like but for an example, Jalen Hurts in what Philadelphia has built around him. Boy, is that the perfect marriage ever. That Philadelphia team, what they have going over there, really works for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yep. You know what I mean? And you got to, like I said, you either have to go all in or not. Mike,
and you look at that the Philly team, the way that they're built, that's the way Pittsburgh wants to play. control the line of scrimmage, dominate you on defense, run the ball, and then hit quick strikes on offense. That's what Pittsburgh
The
wants to
thing is,
do,
Mike,
but
that's how it
they can do
works
it.
if you have the personnel and if you
Now,
could,
yep. And we
uh,
don't have the personnel right now. We don't have the D line to do it. We don't have the O line to do it. We don't have the receivers. We don't have the quarterback to do it.
yeah.
But I'm not opposed to Stafford. I want a quarterback who's mobile. If you can get a Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen type quarterback who can kill you with your arm and leg, awesome. But I don't want a statue back there. I'm okay with someone who has escapability, and I don't know if Stafford has that kind of mobility anymore in his game.
Thing that
Is he
scares
just
me
going to
about him,
stand
Mike,
back there and be a statue
and I'm going to say
with that
this:
O line that we have?
I would rather a statue pocket quarterback than a guy that has. Again, I don't want to say this because I don't want it to be taken the wrong way, but I just it's hard to tell if Justin Fields has it between the ears. The guy is an amazing athlete. He's
Yeah,
amazingly athletic, and
it's
you've
like
seen some of the things that he
yeah,
could do. He's very impressive. One of the observations that I made, nobody said it during the year. Nobody and the announcers brought it to my attention. It's just kind of something that I observed, and I just wonder, is he that guy up here? Because again, there was an old commercial. It was Grant Hill, and Grant Hill says 90% of the game is played from the neck up. I've always believed that to be true in all sports, and if you don't have it from the neck up, I mean, do you really have it at all?
yeah.
Mike,
It's
does
the
this guy? I mean, he's been in the league 4 or 5 years. Does he have it from the neck up?
You get like we said before, you can see like him and Kenny Pickett as an example. Their processing speed of the information that they're seeing is
That's not
not
a
up to
good
par.
example.
It's
if you're
it's not
if
up
you're
to par.
if you're
Yeah,
selling
that's
to
what
Justin Field, that's not a really great
yeah.
example.
And I'm not selling Justin Fields. I'm saying like he has the physical tools to be a starter, but like you said, there that one thing missing, and for him, it's the ability to to process the information fast enough
That's what I'm talking about.
the way your high end quarterbacks do. And that's why I said before, that's what makes him and Kenny Pickett top end backups, bottom tier starters. They can't see it and do it fast enough. It's just
And no knock on them.
because
It's
they can
just
make all the throws and they just can't do it on time consistently because they're
only
not seeing it fast enough.
a small percentage of these professionals in this field
Yeah.
that play that position can
Uh-huh.
actually do that and be that
Yeah.
guy. And like I always said, there's
Yeah.
about five, and that
Yeah.
doesn't it never really changes.
Yeah.
And these guys, I just don't see them in that category. Do I think that they would be bad? No. Listen, and I'm even going to give you an example because I think yesterday, who was it? DLW,
Yeah.
DWO. Now I kind of had some words. Hey, what's up, Yinzer Joe? Good morning, my
Dum
friend.
Yinzers.
With him yesterday, Mike, and about Justin Fields, and he likes him a lot. And I wasn't arguing with him. I was just trying to give my point across. But
Yeah.
here's a point as well, Mike. Mind you, now having Justin Fields, it wouldn't be the worst thing, but I'm going to tell you exactly what it's going to be, and here's why. Back in the '90s, Cordell Stewart, he played. There he is, my man. I'm glad you're here because I'm going to help prove your point, and I'm going to try to just give a little bit more understanding. What it is that I'm trying to say. All right, I'm glad you're here. Cordell Stewart, in the 8 seasons he was in Pittsburgh, 8 seasons. That's a pretty good time. He went 48 and 29. 48 and 29. Cordell Stewart, his time in Pittsburgh, good record. 48 and 29, roughly 2/3 of his games he won. In those years, he threw 13,328 yards. Cordell Stewart threw 13,328 yards in the 8 years he played in Pittsburgh. He threw 70 touchdown passes. Also, he ran for 2,561 yards, and he ran 35 in for a touchdown. Those are pretty good numbers. And I got to be honest with you, most teams would love those numbers. And obviously, the Steelers were okay with those numbers during that time. My point is this, guys. Hell yeah, you would take somebody with that production. That's the production you're going to get from Justin Fields. You're going to get more wins than losses, I think, on the Steelers. Because again, you got to put the franchise in consideration too. We do a lot of winning. There's a reason for that. So you put him in this situation. So Justin Fields would go 48 and 29, which again, that's a really long-term situation, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to put it in perspective. Throws for over 13,000 yards 70 touchdown passes, over 25 yards rushing, and 35 rushing touchdowns. Again, we would be ecstatic if Justin Fields would do that here. Ecstatic. I would be super excited. Now, my point being was this, guys. When we lived through that era and we lived through the 90s and Slash, and he came along and then he wanted to be quarterback, and then, the whole thing. Then he takes us to the AFC Championship game against the Broncos. He throws 4 interceptions and loses a fumble. That little ending of what I just said is the reason why I'm not for Justin Fields, why I'm not high on Justin Fields. I think he could do amazing things. I think he could put up amazing numbers. I think we could probably win games that maybe we couldn't if we do have that running quarterback. But at the end of the day, is he that guy where you're in the playoffs? Is the mental going to be there between the ears when he's on the field in the big game with the crowd on him? The TV audience is large. You have to win this game. You don't win this game. That's what I'm saying. When it came down to it, Cordell didn't really have what you wanted up here.
Yeah.
He had all the numbers. He had all the physical, all the everything that you want from a player. And even till this day, you would take this guy because he was good. But at the end of the day, I'm always kind of looking for the guy that has the mental to where you say, okay, when it comes down to it, am I going to have faith in this guy? I just don't know if Justin Fields is that guy. I just don't know.
Yeah,
he might be.
And we haven't seen it, and we haven't seen it because he hasn't been put into that situation for the most part. Playing in Chicago, we're the high stake, high pressure games. He had him at Ohio State, but college to pros, that's a whole different level because we've seen a whole shitload of college quarterbacks win the Heisman, play great, and then come into the pros and do diddly poo. So that it helps, but it doesn't help that experience. And I'm looking at like the Jalen Hurts stats, the Justin Fields stats. Just as you were talking there, like Jalen Hurts, this year he had 18 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Justin Fields, his last year as a full-time starter, 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. So they were kind of the same quarterback. And if you can tailor the offense to Justin Fields, can he get you that Jalen Hurts type production? But can he flip that switch the way Jalen Hurts was able to in his 2 Super Bowl appearances? Can he be that quarterback in that type of situation? Or like you said, will he end up being like a Cordell Stewart type quarterback in that situation? Can he flip that switch
and again,
when
Mike,
needed?
Most people aren't disappointed with this number output that Cordell Stewart gave the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm not either. I can look back and I can say, you know what, that's the 3rd best passing performance in a career as a Steeler behind only, the main 2. Now, I was a Cordell Stewart fan, but when it was going on and we were living in that time and we got knocked out of the AFC game against the Broncos, and I realized that big game situations is where he was going to have his problems, and he did. And he threw his share of interceptions, in the rest of the time anyway.
Yeah.
But, Mike, that's when I realized what I wanted as a fan, as a quarterback, when I sat there through the second part of his career, and I said, we need a guy that could just stand back there and throw the football around the field. This is what we really need. And then when Tommy Maddox came a couple years later after Cordell left, I said, this is what we just need, a guy that can throw the ball, make completions, and get the ball down the field. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where I make the comparison, guys. I don't dislike Fields. Again, I would love if he would be successful more than anything. I bid into the Cordell thing, and again, at the end of the day, I was fine with it. But I think there's a whole nother gear of a player that you're looking for when you're trying to get your quarterback position filled. I mean, that's again, in the league nowadays, guys, you got to have that guy. You got to look around the league, Mike. The past how many years? Tell me how many times that there was a Super Bowl where that guy wasn't the winner.
Exactly. You have to go. God, the last one I can think of was Trent Dilfer.
Maybe Brad Johnson a couple years closer.
Right. Yeah. But, I forget about Brad Johnson. But yeah, it's been those. Yeah. And my God, you almost could have said Jalen Hurts, but the way he turned it on, and when the lights shined the brightest, he stepped it up. So yeah, he's elevating himself up in that conversation because I thought he was just going to be one of those guys, like a Brent Johnson type guy, Trent Dilfer type guy. He's going to get you there, but is he going to lead you to it? And you know what? He proved me wrong. He led that team. And talking about like quarterbacks to like a statue back there as a quarterback, someone who can sit back there and pick your pocket. Give me someone like Big Ben, someone who can sit there and do it, but when time comes to scramble and move, that can buy that time. Because that's what you need too in today's NFL. You need a quarterback who can move and slide up around the pocket. Doesn't have to be able to run a whole hell of a lot, but someone who can avoid that pressure. And is Stafford, does he still have that mobility to slide up, down, left, to right in the pocket? And that's what I'm worried about there.
I would want him to do nothing more than what Tom Brady does. Step up in the pocket and make smart plays. Hit the guy on the quick slant. The guy, he has the potential to be really good. He just has to be in the right system. And again, I don't know if that's us, but
see, that's why I wish Russell Wilson was 3 inches taller.
Well, that ain't gonna happen, man.
If he was, I would be okay with him coming back because he still has enough mobility to slide around the pocket like we're talking about, and he knows I can throw the ball away. I can find you'd actually be able to see the guy over the middle of the field to hit that little quick slant. They hit that little.
It irked me, and I think many Steeler fans alike, that his main go-to was to throw the ball away play. At the end of the day, I appreciate it because you.
Because it's smart football.
You didn't throw turnovers, but at the end of the day, he did that more than anything, which tells me his abilities are worn down, and he's not quite the guy he used to be.
You can see he can still read the field. It's just he can't run around like he used to extend that play to find that guy open down the field.
It's not happening.
It's not happening.
He's an old man now.
Yeah, that's why if he was taller, he'd still be a viable quarterback.
Let's get back into these messages, Mike. I'm going to go back. Mark Malone says, God, please, no RPO. And then Mark Malone says they've got to be able to throw the ball from the pocket. I couldn't agree more. Mark Malone also says he started enough games over the past 4 years to know what you're getting. I don't totally disagree with that. DLW, what's up, my brother? Nice seeing you as always. Welcome back. Mark Malone says if he has, what's up?
No, I was saying welcome.
Oh, Mark Malone also says if he has to throw volume or has to strike back, like Yins were talking about earlier, he will F it up. Over enthusiastic Mod Caleb says, but Tallman has lost the locker room. R2 needs a leadership change. DLW says, I got you. I'm saying was Justin Fields was not a running back coming out of college. He became that because Chicago sucked. Kid can throw. Hey, he can. No two ways about it. And again, I want him to succeed.
He can.
As we sit back and we dissect this whole thing, I might say, well, this isn't the best option, and I think somebody might be better. It doesn't mean I don't want him to succeed. Believe me, I would buy a Justin Fields Super Bowl jersey. No two ways about it. On the next, here we go, guys. Mark Malone says he can throw interceptions like a mofo unless throwing for Pickett-like production. DLW says Fields in college was a bit of a surgeon. Agreed. I'm just saying it's coming. Typical Ohio State busted quarterback, Mark Malone says. Yinzer Joe, Fields is going to get too much attention in free agency. I think the Steelers lose him and he'll be stuck with Russ. Interesting. Corey Beavers, what's up, brother? He says, man? Fields is the best option we have for the money. If we want to build the rest of our offense, get him on a 2-year deal and go get wide receivers. If he sucks, get a quarterback in the next year's draft. DLW, the Eagles and Bears are not comparable situations, though. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Mark says, I'm thinking Bustin Fields is more of a Rodney Peete. Rodney Peete, of course, longtime quarterback. I think he was more of a backup in the league, but it was for Detroit for quite some years.
Backup quarterback's where it's at, man.
I guess
everyone loves you, and you make a good living, and you don't get hit.
And let me tell you one thing about Philadelphia's backup quarterback. Kenny Pickett has thrown more passes in the Super Bowl than Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Jordan Love, and Dak Prescott all combined. So you take those 5 quarterbacks.
Take that.
Kenny Pickett does have more Super Bowl passes than every one of them.
And he's 1-0 against Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl.
Right.
I saw that stat. I'm like, we're pushing it now. We're pushing
Kenny Pickett
now.
Backup gig is working.
It is too, man. Well done to him,
Mark Malone, unfortunately, Warren is not Barry Sanders. That's true. DLW says, dude, Fields does have NFL records. They don't come from nowhere. And again, was not even a runner coming out. Yeah. DL says it's coming, man. Mark Malone says funny shit. Of course, man. Of course, DLW. Just says Russ was trying to extend plays, but no one was getting open. Maybe picking sometime. That's another issue, Mike. I mean, I mean, and again, I think that comes back to your interior line too.
Yeah.
You got to give your quarterback enough time for your receivers to get open. It's just it's
And when you
part
break
of the
the
deal.
pocket, you gotta run open. You gotta make yourself open. That was like the big thing. Like when Ben was here, the receivers knew once he broke the pocket, you run to that side of the field. You come back to the ball. And this year, man, guys were just meandering around the field. It was weird.
DL Dub says Duty had 2 comebacks this season. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely all good, my brother.
Yep.
I did. I thought about you a little bit last evening, and I thought to myself, I kind of jumped. It was like for no reason. It was real no reason. Yesterday I was in a Monday mood, and I was probably being shitty. So, we do appreciate you, DL Dub. Mark Malone says, "Hell yeah, that's a great gig." Talking about Kenny Pickett's backup role, and also
Charlie Batch, man, he that's the standard right there. If I'm a quarterback that's borderline, I'm taking the Charlie Batch route my entire career. I'll be a backup. I'll hold that clipboard.
Hey, Mike, and also Yinzer Joe says Kenny had more kneel downs too, almost like you. You're always on your knees.
Hey, $20 is $20, boys.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
got to pay them bills somehow.
So guys, that is that. Let's get into a couple other things here, Mike. Let's go. I just want to go with this one real quick. Absolutely, DL Dub, totally understood. Eli Manning. Now, there was some controversy over the past week and a half that this guy should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. I disagree.
Yeah.
Personally, I've watched the guy play. Yes, he did beat Tom Brady 2 times in the Super Bowl. Yes, that's freakish. Yes, I wouldn't put my money on it happening again if you put the same situation together. I think that Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong. He won 2 Super Bowls. This you cannot take away from a quarterback. And it was because of him. These amazing passes that it became amazing catches. But at the end of the day, Mike, Peyton Manning, a year 1, a first ballot Hall of Famer. No. Absolutely. Eli Manning, a first round Hall of Famer, not first round, but definitely a Hall of Famer. Mike, how do you calm down the people here that are kind of up about this Eli? He's going to get in there. Don't get me wrong. Don't worry. He's just not. He wasn't the cream of the crop guy.
No, he 2-time Super Bowl MVP too. So that's going to help him big time because. Go back and look at Terry Bradshaw's regular season numbers throughout his career. Same amount of touchdowns as interceptions, but playoffs happen, rolls around. He was a god, 4-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl MVP. That's what's going to get Eli Manning in, are his performances in the Super Bowl. Regular season stats, 366 touchdowns, 244 interceptions. It's not that pretty.
Mike, let me ask you this.
But he'll get
Eli Manning is impressive to you? If Eli Manning beats the Chargers and the Jets, let's say in his career he beat the Chargers and the Jets in the Super Bowl, is he still at that level to you? I think the only reason he is at the level and the only reason that he sits where he sits is because he beat Tom Brady 2 times. 2 times. For that reason and that reason alone, I think he falls in that second layer of quarterbacks. Definitely not one of the most elite, but because of those wins, Mike. If it wasn't for that, if they play the Jets and they play the Chargers and win both of them, definitely not as high up on the list.
Definitely not. No. Yeah, because it's the mystique. You beat Tom Brady. You beat Bill Belichick. You beat who was their defensive coordinator? Romeo Crennel at the time. Like that defense had some studs on that team, and he beat them twice. He did not blink in the biggest moment, kind of like Jalen Hurts. Kind of like similar career. Post regular season numbers aren't that flashy. Postseason, fucking phenomenal, and that's what's going to get Eli in is because it was Tom Brady, it was New England, it was Bill Belichick. They were memorable moments. He'll get in. He might not get in next year, but after that, he should get in on at least his third go around. He should get in because I'm looking at his numbers now. He had a year with 20 interceptions, 25 interceptions, 27 interceptions.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's kind of
He wasn't top caliber.
Yeah,
but he was. I think he's certainly the next class down. Mike, and again because it was beating Tom Brady. Let me get back to the board because I specifically didn't do this, but since I am on my DLW
hate train, apparently
you're a hater. My butt kissing campaign. I'm glad that we did talk about Eli today, but let me get back into some of these here. Let's see. Boo, boo, boo. Yeah, yes, you're right. Mark Malone Batch did back up Rodney Pete up in Detroit for a while. Yinzer Joe says, Mike. Oh, I see, Mike. Did you do that for a Klondike? Mike, what would you do for a Klondike bar? I do some pretty questionable shit. I
I
gotta
would do
be
some
honest with
questionable
you.
things, but not that. That I got to get paid for. Cold hard cash. And then, like the discussions we have at work, if you're getting paid, it's not gay. I'm like, you've thought about it too much, but I agree with your thought process.
Corey Beaver said Eli's defense won his Super Bowls. If he's first ballot, then Ben should be a first ballot as well. I
Oh,
think. Don't get me wrong. I think the defense was really good, and they were. The Giants' defense was good. But at the end of the day, when you're looking at the quarterback position, you're trying to say, okay, this Manning, is this Eli, the brother of Peyton, the son of Archie, is this guy a Hall of Famer? Yes. The answer is yes. Yes, I think he is. Guys got in for a lot less. But again, it is the mystique of beating Tom Brady,
he's
Mike. Because again, you weren't afraid to face Eli Manning. You
no,
weren't. When you faced Peyton Manning, you know it was going to be a long day. When you face Tom
yeah,
Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, any of these guys, that feel you did not have that feel with Peyton or for Eli. But again, I'm not saying that he's not a Hall of Famer. I'm just saying
no,
he's just not that top caliber.
no. His quarterback record, if you think it's a QB stat, 117 and 117.
Wow.
He had a bunch of losing seasons in there. Take a look at Big Ben, 165, 81 and 1.
I mean, I don't think there's any question what Ben did was certainly
Yeah,
a lot more.
418 touchdowns to 211 picks.
I mean, Big Ben Roethlisberger was the face of the organization for 20 years. I mean, Ben,
Yeah,
there's a lot to say about him, and I didn't even want to make the comparison, to be honest. But I do think that Eli will be there. I
yeah,
don't feel that he got snubbed. I think if
no,
he goes next year or the year after, that's totally
yep,
acceptable. If it gets to the point where it just keeps going, and he's not getting
yeah,
in, that's kind of when I'm going to start to have a
yeah,
little bit of an issue.
yeah.
But for what it is, Eli will be in, just not year one. I'm totally cool with that. Mike, let's continue on here. DL Dub says it was probably fair that he didn't get in his first ballot. I'm a Giants fan, and he was career 500 ball. We felt them losses, but he is getting in second ballot. I agree, my
I
man. I
think
think
so too. Yeah,
again, nobody beat Tom Brady 2 times in
yeah.
the Super Bowl.
Like
That
my
has to
thing
be
is,
taken note of.
yeah, my thing is this Hall of Fame class. How the hell did Luke Kuechly not make it on the first ballot? The dude
Well,
was a
there was a group of guys that could have been in there. I mean, I thought
I
Steve
know it
Smith
was
could have been in there. I
such a
thought,
small class too, and that's
yeah,
what's made no sense.
there's a couple guys that I thought certainly got snubbed. DL
Hmm.
Dub says they do love their Eli. Which again, I get, man. You get yourself your quarterback. You love the guy if he works for your
Exactly.
team and gets it
Yeah.
done. That's why I said, please
But
let
like,
Justin Fields do it.
yeah,
Please,
like, yeah,
I want to be happy with my guy.
I know, right? Like, and that's why I wasn't a big Kenny Pickett fan, but I wanted him to do well because it makes
Right.
the team. It helps the team.
Jen says I couldn't stand Eli when he was drafted and refused to play. You know what? I always forget about that. I always forget
Yeah,
about that.
he pulled the old John Elway. I ain't going there.
Yeah. Corey Beaver says Big Ben had a better career regular season than Eli. Both QBs' defenses won their Super Bowls by virtue. Big Ben should already be in if Eli is first ballot. DL Dub says he literally beat what many thought was the best team almost. You're right. They were undefeated. That team was going to go 19-0 if it
Yeah,
wasn't for that crazy pass catch. I mean, that's the difference. That's
yeah.
how close it was from that New England team being 19-0. That's got to be worth something, guys. It's definitely got to be worth something. Yinzer Joe says, do we still think defenses win championships? I mean, Eagles were better on defense than offense. Yes,
You got to
but
have a
you got to
special
have
defense.
something. You got to have something going for you on offense too.
Mm-hmm.
You have to.
Yeah,
You
because they
can't
were.
have you can't listen. You can't have the highest paid defense and the lowest paid offense, which is
Yeah,
where we are at. Literally, you can't have this. I mean, that's
yeah.
come on.
Yeah, and you saw like Casey's game plan was like, we're not going to let them run the ball. We're going to make the quarterback beat us. And the quarterback said, "Okay, I'm going to throw it to my two of the better receivers in the league, and let me
Yeah.
just scorch you."
Mark Malone says the helmet catch was insane. Absolutely, one of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. No
I
argument
remember
there.
watching that happen live. My jaw literally dropped.
Over enthusiastic mod Caleb said, should Dale Murphy be? I'm not sure what this Dale Murphy comment is all about because we got it before. I do think that Dale Murphy should be in the Hall of Fame. Of course, the longtime Atlanta Brave. Again, I'm not getting the correlation, but still funny nonetheless. Jen says, I've seen what you did for a Klondike bar. I saw someone wearing a t-shirt that said this. Mike, that should definitely be you. You should get that shirt.
I think Mark Malone and I should be wearing the same shirt.
Mark Malone says you should see what I'll do for a Blondike bar. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh, I misread that. Oh, my man.
It's Valentine's Day this week. The love is in the air, guys. And then John, what's up? Hey, what's up, John, my friend? Happy Tuesday afternoon to you, sir. He said Arch will be picky too. So there you go, guys. A little bit about my thoughts on Eli Manning. I think that, he belongs there. Just a matter of when. And I don't, like I said, if it starts to get beyond third or fourth year, you might want to start worrying as a Giants fan. Yeah. But I think ultimately he should definitely be there. No two ways about that. A couple things about the Super Bowl before we do move on here. The logo is out, Mike, and they're trying to, I don't know if they tried to, but they're throwing us off because it is in many different color. You can't take this logo. It's a rainbow, and you can't take it and say, well, it has the blue of the Detroit Lions and the purple of the Ravens, like a lot of people have done over the past few years. Yeah. And you know what? Been somewhat accurate.
And Mike, the bridges and stuff. People are like, oh, well, Pittsburgh's the city of bridges, but that looks like the Golden Gate Bridge.
So now they have this new rainbow thing, and everybody's all thrown off, Mike. I seen a meme that had about 15 teams around the logo with certain teams pointing to certain colors.
Yeah, I was trying to find that meme, and I can't find it right now at the moment.
So that is that. Let me get a couple more. Yeah. Mark Malone says, yep, 2 prostitutes are in order. Yeah. Either Joe says that you have to play like the highest paid defense and have a complimentary offense. They got to do better than what they did. Whatever this was this past year really showed us where I think a lot of our problems lied. Let's see, over Enthusiastic Mod, Caleb, Dale Murphy, and Eli Manning both had some incredible moments and stats, but just not good enough for the whole. I see. I got you. Caleb, I get you, man. And finally, for the Super Bowl, guys, I had to do my own research. Over the past couple days, I've heard so much that I couldn't ignore it any longer. Guys, the Super Bowl lost 1.3 million viewers after Kendrick Lamar finished his halftime show. So I said, this is insane. 1.3 million people say that it was the best show they've ever seen on social media. And then other people say, I can't even understand what the guy said. I can't even understand what the guy that was singing was saying. I didn't enjoy it whatsoever. And for that reason, Super Bowl lost many viewers beyond that point. Now I go and I did this just this morning to be fresh on it. And here's my observation from the Super Bowl show. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. But it was what I would expect from a halftime show nowadays. I'm not saying it was bad. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it is what it was. I think in a perfect world, you bring Shakira out there every year and let her shake her midsection for 25 minutes. I think every fan walks away happy. But at the end of the day, in a country, that we have, everyone's different here, and there's different kind of people. You have to be able to accept different kind of things like music. Again, I didn't particularly like it. Particularly, I couldn't understand what he was saying, which was a lot of the argument that people were putting on social media. They couldn't understand what was being said. I get that. I understand that. I seen that. I experienced it. Yes, you can't understand him a lot of the times, but I don't know. I'm not big on this mumble rap. I don't know what exactly is mumble rap and what's not. But if I had to classify this would be what mumble rap is to me. And then I also turn into an old head in this argument because I start saying, well, you know what? Our rap music was so much better than rap music nowadays. And I would rather listen to so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so instead of so-and-so, so-and-so. Yeah. But again, my demographic is probably not who they're shooting for when they're trying to entertain the masses. But you do have to, in my opinion, stay mainstream with a lot of these halftime shows, Mike, because again, you're trying to appease a lot of different people. Mm-hmm. And I think staying mainstream, and I think, again, Shakira shaking should be good enough. Now, good enough,
but that caused backlash as well. People are like freaking out, like, "Oh my god, this is too sexy."
Now I like Samuel L. Jackson. He came out as Uncle Sam, Uncle
Mhm.
Samuel L. Jackson. I thought that was pretty creative. I like that. Some were saying the music, Mike, you said some people were saying the music was too high, the voices were too low.
Yeah,
Again,
because
to
like when the
me, it
camera
was
was
just
on him and I was able to see his face, I was able to pick up everything that he was saying. When it would cut away from him, that's when like my ear was trying to pick up.
now if you would have played something again from from rappers when we were a kid, like you did a couple years ago, I enjoyed that. Eminem and Dr. Dre and
And he was part of that too. Kendrick was.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I don't dislike Kendrick
yeah, because
Lamar.
yeah,
I just again, Mike, it's just it is what it is. To me, it seems like something that you're going to see nowadays on
yeah,
halftime. In my opinion, I think you got to stay mainstream because again, there's so many different people you're trying to entertain. Staying mainstream, and again for this dude, I don't know. Maybe this is just his style, but for a lot of the fans that I'm seeing, they're saying that was an amazing performance. So after watching it this morning, fresh on my mind, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It is what it is. It
hmm
is the music of today. I prefer something for this. I have my preferences of music, but for this, I say I think everybody should compromise with a happy medium mainstream because again, there's a lot of people that's putting money into this league that don't listen to this or don't listen to that or don't listen to this. So again, my vote is Shakira every year in, year out till we all die. But beyond that, that's my thoughts.
yeah,
It wasn't. If I liked the guy, maybe if I even knew more about him,
yeah,
maybe I would have thought it was more interesting.
yeah.
But just face value, watching the guy, I couldn't understand him, which I think was a lot of the people's arguments. And that was that's the tale, Mike. I didn't watch it live. I did watch it this morning, and at the end of the day, I'm just gonna say I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm
So
not
yeah,
surprised.
I liked it. I thought it was good. Like I said, like some of his songs, like this, because he had that mumble rap kind of phase in his career. Then he had other phases of his career where you're able to hear him real clear. And you notice that too when he didn't, not like us, when you were able to hear him, that whole diss track of Drake at the end there. I thought that was great. I love
See,
that because
now now
I
that
love
was
rapper. I
Mike.
love beef in the music
See, that was
industry.
such a thing though, because again, unless you know anything about the dude, you wouldn't understand the
Yeah,
track, the diss track. So
yeah,
again, I mean, they're out there
yeah,
they're coding things for people that understand what it is they're talking about. You're leaving a large demographic of audience in the cold on things. Again, didn't love it. I'm okay with it. I
yeah.
would like to see more mainstream. And DL Dub says only 2 of the 98 will be mad at Shakira, so I'm there with you. I my vote's with Shakira, guys. My vote's Shakira.
My vote Shakira. Well, how about as a compromise, we go Pearl Jam next year, and so
Yeah,
because I won't be able to understand Eddie Vedder too when he goes really fast. I've listened to him since like '94 when they came out, and there's songs from him I still go, what the fuck is he saying?
see, I'm never a big Pearl Jam fan. He's another one. If you don't, you got to be able to understand
Yeah,
people.
you got to be able to understand. But like showbiz is how you look, how you sound, and then the last part is what you say. You look good, you sound good. People will vibe to it.
Mark Malone says I still want to see guitar, but yeah, a lot of people do. Again, a large demographic of NFL fans. Certainly, that falls in the category of their liking. DL Dub says perhaps it's just a genre difference. It was extremely heavy, and that's what. And again, I tried to look at it in the way because I did. I grew up with rap music and nothing but rap music until a certain age, and I really tried to put it in perspective. And at the end of the day, maybe it is just me getting a little older, but I do. Again, I say this is. It doesn't surprise me. This is what today is, and that's fine because again, in our day, we had our own, and our parents looked at us like we were insane. So I do try to give it that. Um, what else do we have here? P, what's up, brother? P says Kendrick gave a 15-minute musical American history lesson. Lots of America doesn't like that ever. Oh, well, you know what? And I get that. I totally get that as well. And I totally um listen. For lack of a better term, I was a wigger. I really was, and you wouldn't believe the amount of bullshit I took for 6 years because I was the only one of only two white kids that listened to all rap music. I was the only one of two white kids that sagged my pants in an all white school. I get it. I really do. Believe me. I went home, after some pretty hard days sometimes just because of my preference of my interests. So, I understand why people don't like this. And I understand what you're saying, P. Absolutely. and that's probably why as well. But I think to be safe and to keep it unpolitical, maybe just as a business, they should consider staying mainstream. And bringing Shakira out there. I don't know. At the end of the day, nobody loses when Shakira's out there. But I agree with you, P. I do agree with you. Believe me. Believe me. DL Dub says exactly, P. I'm not just gonna go there. Mark Malone says I'm sure some kindergartners got something from it, P. Ding-a-ling-a-ling, we have a winner. P says, I think Bruno Mars should do it every year personally. And DL Dub says,
he had a
remember,
good one.
Absolutely, man. I listen, I still sag my pants. I got to be honest with you. I'm watching Kendrick Lamar on this video, and I'm wondering why his pants fits like my mom. I mean, guys nowadays wear their pants like women wore their pants when we were growing up. But I listen. I'm not gonna dish you because of it. It is what it is. But yes, I still, if I have my pants on, chances are they're going to be more saggy than not. We look so funny. I still do.
Jenko jeans.
The Jenkos, come on. Jenkos are still my favorite style of jean ever.
I need to see you in a pair of Jenkos, right?
Oh, my black Jenkos with the white stitching on. Oh, my favorite. Mark Malone, Ryan was drinking the Purple Passion. Jenko jeans. Yeah, man, that was my stuff. That black pair. I had a black pair of white. They were real wide at the bottom. I loved them. I would go back to the 90s in a minute, guys. DL Dub says, me too, but my daughter pulls them up because I'm just old. I hear you, brother. I really
remember back in the day, people would they called it like pegging their jeans. They'd fold them over and roll them up and stuff. We thought we looked
Those
so
were the
good.
people that were making fun of me when I was in school. The guys with the pegged pants in the tail. Remember the tail? It wasn't long hair in the back. It was just a tail that went down the middle of their back.
The rat tail?
Yeah. So all these kids with the rat tail and peg jeans were making fun of me because of the music I liked.
In the mullet.
We would just miss the mullet. The mullet was right before us. It was late 80s. But yeah, man, I took a lot of heat. I really did. Maybe one day we'll get more into the stories. I think that could be a fun show. Remember Pele? Is that what that is? Mike, let me also jump over to a couple other things here real quick. Oh, yes, Mark Malone, Willie D, and the Ghetto Boys. I'm going to prove it. It was Willie D, Scarface, and Bushwick Bill. Boom! That's right. That was the Ghetto Boys. Mark Malone had to been the late 80s. Pitt back in action tonight. They traveled to Texas to play the SMU Mustangs. That game is at 9:00. You want to see some good Pittsburgh College hardwood? Check them out tonight. The Pitt Panthers at SMU tonight at 9:00. Also, Mike, the Four Nations face-off tournament in hockey. Sidney Crosby's ready to go. He said his injury's better. He'll be playing. Some other Penguins playing elsewhere, Sweden here, there, and the other. Mike, are you interested in the Four Nations face-off? I personally am not interested. Right, I don't like the mid-season tournaments.
No, I don't like it.
Pro sports, Mike. This is what I don't like. 2 weeks off for this Four Nations face-off tourney. Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it because what if my guy on my team goes to that tournament and gets hurt, and then now I'm screwed for the cup run. I'm screwed for the playoff run. I don't like it. I understand like Crosby's going to try and play. He brought us 3 cups. I don't care if he goes out there and gets, aggravates that injury. That's going to actually help the Penguins in the long run because we can get a better draft pick this year. So I'm okay with Sid this year going and playing, but normally I don't like it because I don't want my guys to get hurt.
Like I said, I'm not a fan. Basketball, hockey, mid-season tournaments, I don't think is a good idea. The main job is your main job. The main, the company, the NHL, the NBA, that's your job. That's where your moneymaker is. And again, like Mike said, I mean, you're putting your team at jeopardy by participating because somebody like Sidney Crosby gets hurt in the Four Nations face-off. That doesn't fare well for the Penguins in their playoff push. Let's get back to the board. P says Jinko jeans and a long ass wallet.
the chain. Yep. I was thinking of saying that I looked and P beat me to it. I like it.
With nothing in it but your social security card at $7. Exactly. And maybe a punch card from like a pretzel place at your local mall or something was in there.
Hell yeah. Get that free pretzel, baby.
Mark Malone, hell yeah. Derpy loved that midget. He loved Bushwick. He is our Bushwick Bill. if we were to ever be a rap group, Derpy is definitely our Bushwick Bill. Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumyinzers.com. Y'all know what's going on over there. Merch store. Links to all of our social stuff. Anyone lurking here that's new, go check it out. And then, it's after the Super Bowl. The blog will be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. So check it out.
The long-awaited blog will be back, everybody. Keep pressuring Mike. The more you pressure, the sooner he'll have it up. Guys, go check it out at www.the2dumyinzers.com. That's www.the2dumyinzers.com. And also, the picks are in. However, Derpy's always here on Tuesday. He is sick in bed, under the weather, if you will. So we'll talk about his winnings, what he did win, Mike. I mean, again, he dominated the picks this year. I don't know how you're going to be able to slow this guy down moving forward.
I can't. I got to get a smoke alarm that does not work.
Yeah, apparently.
So it can talk to me.
And P said Chiefs got mollywhopped. That isn't the dispute. Very nice of the Eagles. Let them score. When it was 34-0 Eagles, I thought this is great. And I don't even like the Eagles. So satisfying is the word that I used to describe the Super Bowl the other day. Guys, let's get into the question of the day. This is an NFL question. Mike, I need you to put your thinking cap on. Everybody on the board, everybody at home. Here we go. Question of the day. You ready?
I'm ready.
There we go. How many states have multiple NFL teams? How many states have multiple NFL teams? The question of the day, everybody. Think that over. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on YouTube. All right, the question of the day, everybody. How many states have multiple NFL football teams? Mike, what are you thinking? What's your thought process?
So we got New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida, California, Texas,
So how many is that?
6. I'm going to go with 6. Probably missing one.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the old Bobster.
All right. Mike's going with 6. That is the final answer. I'm going to lock you in. Now, before I answer this, before I give you the answer, let me give you something that our governor came out and said yesterday after the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Our governor, Shapiro, comes out and says, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania now home to the most Super Bowl victories of any state in the country, guys. Pennsylvania, between our Steelers and the scumbag Eagles, have more Super Bowls won than any state in the nation. So that's interesting. We'll take it. Of course, we had to do a lot of most of the leg work, but
it's nice. They got us across the finish line. We carried them as far as we could, and they helped us out at the end.
All right, so Mike, you have 6.
Yeah.
P on the board has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guys, how many states have multiple NFL teams? Is the question of the day. Let's take a look at it. California, of course, they have quite a few teams, actually. I think 3. That is correct, Mike. You said that as well. Are those the same 6 teams that you named? What P has up on the board?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go through these. California, New York. Of course, New York has 3 teams. Buffalo and the 2 New Yorks. They play in New Jersey. Nonetheless, it's a New York team. So we're going to give the credit to New York on this one. Florida is correct. They have 3 teams in Florida. Texas is correct. 2 teams in Texas. Ohio is correct. 2 teams in Ohio. Pennsylvania, of course, 2 teams here. That is correct. 6 for 6. St. Louis moved to LA. So Missouri no longer has multiple teams. They used to house the Kansas City Chiefs and the St. Louis Rams. However, that's not the case no more. But there's a sneaky team that takes it to 7, guys. A sneaky state called Maryland. Maryland has
No,
multiple.
yeah, Baltimore and
That's right. Maryland was the one that everybody missed, guys. The final answer to today's question of the day: how many states have multiple NFL teams? The answer is 7. California, New York, Texas, Florida, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Maryland. So,
fuck Maryland.
you know what? I that was the one I didn't know either. I put it together as 7 with Missouri, and then I had to take Missouri out because I didn't even dawn on me. I've always known them as it being a 2-team state, but Maryland, I didn't get that either, guys. But it's 7 states have multiple teams in the NFL. Kind of cool when you look at it. And then there's states like Idaho, that literally have like nothing. They have potatoes, and that's it. So I like our football life. I like our football state. I like football. Mike, anything before we do start getting ready to wrap things up for today?
Yeah. I got this to share right here. I'm going to show it on the screen. This Buffalo Bills finally have a banner to hang at their stadium. There you go.
There
Eagles
you go.
beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, so Buffalo finally has something to hang in their stadium.
All right, there you go.
I saw that, made me laugh.
Pieces Maryland has some baddies too, but DC ain't a state. My thing is this, guys. I don't know if he's caught this. The U.S. Treasury is going to stop minting new pennies because the cost of making pennies is 2.5 cents to make 1 penny. I think we have enough pennies. I really do. I don't think running out of pennies is going to be a problem we're going to have anytime in the near future. And if it does, start printing them again. Like 2.5 cents to make a 1 cent penny. Something I never thought of, but now that I look at it that way, it's like, oh yeah. You can't continue to do that. That's a loss of money, making money, right?
Yeah. You'd think.
You don't want to lose money while making money. But that's the case, guys. The U.S. Treasury is to stop minting new pennies. So if you're looking for new pennies, which I guess many people probably aren't, that is coming to a stop because the cost to make a penny is 2.5 cents. Just kind of something I thought was interesting. I do want to say thank you, everybody, for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We truly, honestly do. We wouldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting here on the show. And I do also want to say thank you to everybody at home. P says Idaho has potatoes and hella KKK chapters.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's definitely not wrong, unfortunately. But again, thank you so much, everybody. Mike, anything before we do start getting ready to wrap things up?
No, thanks, man. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, man. I loved it, man. Great show today, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. You guys always make it worth it.
Good sports talk.
And again, I'm sure whatever happens in Steeler news is going to start pretty much in approximately 5 minutes from now.
Yeah.
It seems to happen all the time. Again, the Deebo Samuel news came out yesterday, Mike, pretty early, and I was chomping at the bit all day to talk about Deebo. Yep. So we'll see what comes out today. But again, guys, do check out the Pitt Panthers tonight at SMU. That game is at 9:00 p.m. Penguins still off on vacation, and we will still continue to dig for more Steelers scoop every day moving forward. We do have the Combine coming at the end of the month and a lot of stuff. The NFL season never ends. It really doesn't. And we're going to be right here talking about it, dissecting it, enjoying it every single second of the way. And we hope that you'll be there with us, guys, through the whole ride. Ron, what's up, brother? That's all right, my man. Hey, can't always make it. I do want to say hey to you as well, though, sir. Nice seeing you. And Mike, speak now or forever hold your peace, man.
I'm going to hold my peace.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much once again. I hope everybody has a great Tuesday. Stay safe. Check out them Pitt Panthers tonight. But nonetheless, we will be back tomorrow to talk about that and a whole bunch of other stuff here in Pittsburgh. For Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio and myself, the two Dum Yinzers, everybody have a great Tuesday.